Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Relix, and today we're going to go over the third game of the playoff series between the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers. If you guys watched the game, you guys will know that the Kings were probably one of the... honestly, it probably was like the worst game in the playoffs so far, in my opinion. The LA Kings, they did not play up to par, and they did not play a good game, to say the least, to be honest. What I want to say is, like, they gave up. I mean, not just gave up, but they did not even play from the whole game. From the moment the first penalty was called against the Kings, which was on Adrian Kempe on a penalty on Draisaitl. After we killed it easily too. We didn't panic. We killed it very efficiently, and it was really good. But then after that PK, Kings gave up. Now, obviously, as Kings fans, we're gonna debate about it, argue about it, talk about it, and say, oh, the Kings didn't give up. Kings didn't. No one gives up. I get that. It's one thing to say, for me as a fan, to say they gave up. But what I mean is, they didn't really try as hard as they probably could, or at least play to the level that is expected of them to get back into the game. And so, not necessarily gave up as in they're not going to play the game anymore, but in a way, they didn't have the chemistry anymore. The lack of effort was there in some players, and just bad plays. Just bad plays in general. Pretty much every goal against was just because of bad plays. Pretty much. I won't say that for every goal, but most of them, if not all of them, was kind of like that. So going into the game, this is all the hype about going back to LA, and that series is tied 1-1. It's exciting. LA is exciting, and we're ready for it. We're ready to show what we can do at home, especially since we have the best home record after the All-Star break. So that was exciting to think about, right? We have the momentum going home into Game 3. Unfortunately, the Kings were a big letdown. And then we were even talking about, during the pregame, the Edmonton Oilers and how they played from Game 1 to Game 2. You guys can see here, 5-on-5 dump-ins. Game 1, Oilers made less dump-ins, and that's why they dominated the first game. And then we go into the second game, a lot more dump-ins, because we forced them to not control the neutral zone. We didn't allow entries easily, and so that led to why we were able to get the lead in the second game and keep it for the entire game, as well as win the overtime. So it makes a huge difference when I know strategy is coming to play. And it makes a huge difference when you're able to control the neutral zone, and the Kings love to go with the 1-3-1 strat. One person on the forecheck, 3 in the middle of the ice in the neutral zone, and 1 defender back at the blue line. I get it, it works. But when it doesn't work, you got to change up the system. And unfortunately, the Kings did it all night long. Not once, I don't think they changed the system. And so the Oilers kept doing the same things over again, kept getting entries into the zone, and kept beating the Kings in the on the entries. So another thing is I want to note is Adrian Kempe. Juice versus the Oilers, postseason career versus Edmonton. In the past 3 years, he has 15 games played, 10 goals, 8 assists, 18 points on an 8-game point streak coming to this game. Again, he is our top, winger. He has to be one of our top players. And if he's not contributing, then who will be, right? Well, unfortunately, after the game, he ended up being, not very good. He ended up with the -2. He ended up with no points. And unfortunately, the Kings just didn't score anything. As you guys know, the final was a 6-1 final. Oilers on top, 6-1. So here's the game summary. Excuse me. Here's the game summary. From the left side, you can see the first intermission at the very top of the screen. That's after the first period. The middle one is just before the third period started. I almost forgot to get the stats for that one. So that says third, but it's actually the start of this third period. So that's the end of the second. And then, of course, the final being the end of the third. So starting on the left side, you guys can see Oilers were already winning 3-0. To be honest, I felt like the way the Kings were playing, especially with the turnovers, all the giveaways were very prominent in this game. And it wasn't just, one person or two people. It was everybody. Everyone was giving up the puck. Everyone was making defensive turnovers in our own zone, neutral zone. And we constantly did the dump and chase, give up possession crap that I really hate that the Kings do. They love to do that. A lot of selfish plays in that regard. And so the Kings really didn't play as a team, and it was individual efforts that just led to goals against. So starting off with the first period, obviously 3 goals against. They outshot us 16-8. Faceoffs, again, they were dominating the faceoff circle in the first period. Very disappointing to see. I'll go over the faceoffs again after this. Power play, we gave them 2, they gave us 2, but again, power play did not score. If you guys take a look through the entire game summary, we got 5 total power plays and they got 7. Now, that is another thing I want to talk about, so we will come back to that later. Hits, 17-8 in the first period. You guys can see down the line, ended up being 35-22, LA Kings leading. So it's not as many hits as the past 2 games, but, that's not really that important. To be honest, hitting is one thing, but it's another thing to hit for a reason. If you're just hitting just because you want to finish your check, that's not helping the team necessarily. Unless it's going to be a big hit where it takes that player out of the play, I don't feel like it's necessary. So get your butt back in gear, back check or forecheck, and help your teammates. As you guys can also see, block shots, not necessarily the biggest part of the game, especially going towards the third period at the end of the game, where if you guys watched it, you guys know that both teams didn't care anymore. I will go over that later again as well. So, overall, yes, we ended up tying up the faceoffs 51% to 49%, but in the end, you guys can see the rest of the stats. Kings fell apart real fast. The one goal we did get in the second period, it was a beautiful goal, without a doubt. I enjoyed it. It was Doughty's goal, assisted from Byfield on the cross crease, and then assisted by, I believe it was Mikey Anderson. It actually started with Doughty during a line change in the offensive zone. He held onto the puck, crossed the blue line to Mikey Anderson, who then threw it into Byfield, who changed and got on the ice, and then across back to Doughty, who snuck in behind all the defensemen. So it was a really good goal, and that really got me excited because at that point it was 1-3, and then Oilers came back with another goal, and that's how it ended up, dousing the Kings' hopes of coming back. Alright, so face-offs. Here we go. Starting with the first period, 50% Kopi, Dano 67, Dubois 33. Lizzie and Byfield did not take a face-off. I also have the actual numbers here as well, so for the end of the game. But as you guys can see, just the trend continues with Dubois just being shit on the face-offs. And again, this guy's being paid $8.5 million every year, average, and it's this crap. You guys can see from periods 1, 2, and end of the game, he is absolute shit. I am not even going to hold back on that. He is crap. In fact, the entire series so far, Dubois hasn't done crap for the team. He's not getting points. He's not contributing offensively. His forecheck is horrible. Board battles, I don't even think he's won a single board battle in this entire series yet. And he can't even win faceoffs, defensive or offensive. And it's absolutely terrible. As you guys can see too, Kopi, got better as the night went along. Dano, relatively consistent today. This time he was actually our best centerman, surprisingly, compared to the last couple games where he kind of fell short. And then, of course, Lizzie didn't take a face-off, then went, I think he just took one in the second period and then ended up losing a couple more. total percentages wise, Donnell took 10 face-offs. He won 5. My apologies. He took 15 and he won 10 of them. Kopi took 20 and he won 13 of his. Grunstrom took 1 or took 2 and he went 50%, so that's why I didn't include him. Lizzie took 8 and he actually lost 5 of them, so that's unfortunate. And then of course Dubois took 9 and lost 7. 7 of 9 he lost. That's terrible. Byfield is 1 for 3. I included him just because he is considered a centerman, but he doesn't play much center with Dubois, so I just felt like I should add him just because when he does play center, it kind of makes a difference. I would rather see Byfield play center than Dubois because at least Byfield actually can win face-offs from time to time, but Dubois' face-off percentage is just terrible. So while it's an improvement from games 1 and 2, on the broader end of the spectrum, it's still bad. You got to win the key face-offs. That's the problem. Key face-offs in the defensive zone and offensive zone, off of icings, PK, power play, you name it. So here's your first period goal scorers. As you guys can see, Zach Hyman continues to just tear up the Kings with his 5th goal. It was a straight up giveaway by Doughty. Very stupid. Very stupid. To Matthias Ekholm. Ekholm just threw it right back in. And then, of course, no one's watching Hyman. Right in front of the net. Deeks, boom, scores. And then, of course, the Draisaitl goal. Excellent play by Evander Kane. Like, holy crap. Use the boards and make Kopitar look like an amateur. It was really embarrassing. And then, of course, went behind the net. Did the behind the net play, passed it back, same way he came. Draisaitl there, open net. Harder to blame Talbot on that one necessarily, but I blame the defense, obviously. And then, of course, McDavid's came out on the power play. It was the Doughty penalty. Again, it's just bad coverages, bad defense in general, and these three were the 3 goal scorers were really the stars of the game. I mean, just straight up, you guys can see it there. They didn't improve. They didn't shut down their star players, and of course our star players weren't the star players. So that needed to be fixed as well. And going from game 2, where I felt like Doughty and Anderson were great, all of a sudden in game 3, Doughty just kind of fell short. Yeah, he got a goal again, but he was the one who let in the first goal in the first place. I felt like all the defensemen didn't play a strong game. If anything, Mikey Anderson probably didn't have really that many bad remarks from me. But again, Roy and Gavrikov, total crap. They don't do anything right defensively. They don't cover the front of the net very efficiently. Again, one of the other goals throughout the game, wide open. I think it was Nugent Hopkins. I think it was wide open. And of course, Gavrikov not even putting his stick down, not even covering anybody on the PK, and they scored. It was really embarrassing. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about as far as the scoring and what happened in the game for both the teams. Now, there is something of concern, and I touched on it from the last game, game 2, and that is the officials. The officiating in games 2 and 3 this game, absolute trash. I let it go a little bit in game 2. Okay, fine. Things happen. Both teams got plays here and calls there. I really didn't think it was the major problem of why either team scored or got an upper hand on either side. But in this game, not necessarily the beginning, but going down the line, going throughout the entire game as the game went on, the officiating got worse. And it's sad because of who is being, who is the refs on the ice. So here you go. Officials are trash. Chris Rooney, Peter McDougall, and Steve Kozari. Now, excuse to Steve Kozari, who is the 3rd extra referee. He was not on the ice. he is the backup in case one of the main referees are taken out for any reason. So he gets a slight excuse. Now, I don't know what his role is on the sideline. And of course, if you guys also know, Steve Kozari was the guy who was stretchered off on an earlier hit of, I think it was Mika Zibanejad, during the Rangers game a few weeks ago. So he was stretchered off, he's recovered, probably not doing super official work right now, but he is the extra if needed. I don't know what that role is. Does the third referee, this one being Steve Kozari, does he have a role in the game at all? Does he have any say? Does he help the officials with reviews or replays? I don't know. But if he does, then there's a problem, because these guys are like some of the top names in the league. Like, I know them by name, and unfortunately, Chris Rooney specifically, he really bombed the game. Botched the game is really what I actually said earlier. He called penalties left and right, and he really screwed up the officiating. During the third period, the first penalties of the third period, rather, 5 minutes 19 seconds in, Andreas Englund for the Kings went in for a hit and caught Evander Kane with his head down. And to me, 100% clean hit. Without a doubt. There have been way worse hits, including the Hyman hit on Deneau from Game 2, that were way worse head contact hits. Okay? And if you guys watch that replay, Hyman did hit Deneau in the face. I said it was a clean hit, but upon replays and all that stuff, I kind of, can go back and forth. But I let it go, right? Again, I complained that officiating was a little bad last game. But then this game, it was really bad. You guys go look at the Panarin hit on Oshie. I don't think that was clean. I thought that was pure head contact. And, Oshie acknowledges that's playoff hockey. But to me, it's suspendable, in my opinion. Take the Rempe hit on Trevor Ramsdijk in the Rangers-Capitals game from last night as well. Trevor Ramsdijk is out. He is gone. He left the game with a head injury. And yes, I get it. Rempe's a huge guy. Huge guy. But it's pure head contact. And that was penalized with a minor penalty. In this game, Chris Rooney called no penalty. Neither did Peter McDougall. And once the Oilers instigated a fight, okay? The Oilers instigated a fight against England for hitting Evander Kane clean through the body. Evander Kane stood up right away, not even injured on the play, and initiated a fight with England. Him and England. Holloway was the other guy on the ice who cross-checked England in the back. So, no calls. Alright. Kane and England start fighting. They got 5 each. Then the dumbest shit happened. Desjardins for the Oilers literally headlocks Anze Kopitar and Adrian Kempe. Desjardins is the biggest guy in the entire game, and he literally headlocked both Kopi and Kempe. Go watch the replay. He did. And both Kempe and Kopi try to resist. They try to get out of the headlocks, and apparently no referee or linesman saw this. And instead of Desjardins getting penalty for, not only roughing them up, but for instigating that, Kopi and Kempe both got roughing minors. Chris Rooney was the head referee who was making all the calls, and he was the one who initiated review. He called a 5-minute major against England after the fact. No penalty was called on the initial hit, but after the scrum, after all the fights had taken place, he went and said that England's getting a 5-minute major. No explanation, never gave an explanation, and that was that. So, after review, after not even telling the fans or the PR that he had no penalty on the play besides an illegal check to the head of Evander Kane and 5 minutes for fighting. They also gave Kopi a unsportsmanlike conduct and roughing penalty, Adrian Kempe a roughing penalty. And I was just really pissed about that because the end result was the Oilers got a 5-on-3 power play. A 5-on-3 on a clean hit from England on Kane, in which the Oilers themselves instigated multiple fights in that situation. Kopi had a cut lip, too. And Desjardins and Holloway both got nothing for that. Now, all four guys, Kempe, Kopi, Desjardins, and Holloway, they all ended up with a minor for roughing. Okay, fine. That was after the fact. 2 minutes each. But giving Kopi an extra unsportsmanlike conduct when he's the one who got injured by a guy who was headlocking both him and Kempe, that's unreal. That's absurd. And of course, giving England a illegal check to the head after the fact, without any explanation, that is absurd. So, you're telling me that they're getting penalties. Okay, fine. Well, it's a 5-man down situation. Or a 2-man down situation. It's 5-on-3 power play for the Oilers. Kopi got 4 minutes. A penalty for roughing and a penalty for unsportsmanlike. No one served Kopi's second minor. And then, who's serving England's minor? Okay, Kempe has his own. But who's serving England's? England just sat in the box. So who served it? Apparently Kempe served it. You needed to have multiple Kings inside the box to serve each penalty. And they did not do that. So, it was really sad because the officiating was terrible. It was no explanations from anybody. Coaches didn't get explanations. Players didn't get explanations. And the wrong people were penalized and the wrong people were in the box. Kopi basically served a 2-minute penalty, or a 4-minute penalty for 2 minutes. No one served his penalty. And so as soon as Kopi's roughing minor, or his unsportsmanlike conduct minor ended, he was able to leave the box. So was Kempe. Kempe apparently was serving England's minor. And that makes no sense, because they are serving their own penalties. And then, so while those two came back out, the Oilers penalized players, Holloway and Desjardins, they sat in the box until the next stop and play. And that makes no sense. So, I don't know what Chris Rooney was really thinking. He really botched the game. He really botched the penalties. And it's only after the fact now that we're looking at the details, and it's like, this was terrible. This was absolutely trash. It was a huge deal. And then going throughout the game, later on, Ryan McLeod, 2-minute minor, unsportsmanlike against Lizotte. And then I thought that was ridiculous. And this is for the Oilers. I think it's ridiculous for the Oilers to get that penalty. Same thing with Evan Bouchard, Pierre-Luc Dubois, 10 minutes each for a 10-minute misconduct. No explanations again. Bouchard 2, roughing, Kulak roughing, Byfield roughing, Dubois like, it just makes no sense. It just stacked up, and Rooney was just literally tossing guys out for no reason. Doughty, Kane, 10-minute misconducts. What? For talking to each other? Are you kidding me? There's still 8 minutes left in the game. And yes, it's out of, it's a total loss. No one's going to expect the Kings to come back and get 5 straight goals. I get it. But you can't toss these guys out like it's a regular season game. This is a playoff game. And you're telling me little, mouthing off to each other is deemed worthy of 10-minute misconduct with no explanations? That's totally absurd. And it was Chris Rooney who was calling all of the penalties. So, I don't know what to tell you. It was absolute crap, both for the Oilers and for the Kings. And unfortunately, every time there was something happen, Oilers got a power play. Like I showed you guys before in the summary, you guys can see the power play on the far right. Oilers got 7 total power plays, and that's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Every time something happened, Oilers power play. It's like bias officiating. Like, give them a power play, and that just shouldn't happen. So I am very upset about the officiating. I thought it was absolute trash, and I really hope it doesn't happen again. And they have been rotating the officials from game to game. That's fine. That's good, actually. But to see that, the ones that actually were involved, Chris Rooney and Peter McDougall, like, how is that a thing? These guys are the best of the best. And then Steve Kozar, like I said, does he have any say in the game? Or is he just there to watch until he's needed? I don't know. I really don't know. So, I'm very disappointed in the officials. They really didn't do a good job. And then, of course, the biggest thing is the Kings they lost the game. The Kings lost the game after the second goal, to be honest. It was that bad. So, while the officiating was shit, the Kings were even worse. They did lose after practically the second and third goals. There's just no way to come back. The way they were playing, there's just no hope. And so, I'm just going to wrap this up because it is getting a little long. But if we want to win Game 4, we got to play a lot better. So, we'll see what happens. I'm going to that game, and I am expecting a lot more chemistry, I guess you can say. I'm expecting better plays. To be honest, if you're gonna play Riddick at all in the playoffs, this is the game to do it. Because if we end up losing, at least you played both goalies and gave both goalies a chance to show they could win. And compared to last year where we said, Korpisalo, you're the guy. You're going to be the goalie. You're going to play every game, even if you win or lose. When he wasn't even the reason we got into the playoffs. It was Phoenix Cop that got us into the playoffs. Boom, total betrayal. We lost. So, if I was the Kings, I would play David Riddick in this next game, in Game 4. Regardless of anything. He needs a chance to play. He needs a chance to show that he can be the goalie. Especially since I don't trust Talbot in the second game. He had a game-saving moment, yes. And we won in overtime. But in this game, too, I felt like he could have been a little bit better. And there are, a couple moments where he's trying to play the puck, and it's just not good enough. You gotta stay in the net. So, play David Riddick. That's the first thing. Second thing, gotta improve on the faceoff dot. And then, of course, third, stay out of the penalty box. Regardless that the officiating isn't good, you gotta stay out of the box. The Oilers' power play is too strong. And so I remembered my keys. If you guys watched my last video, I struggled to think of what my third key of the series was. My first key was power play. Obviously, the Kings are 0 for 10 now after 3 games. That needs to change. You need to do a full remake of the power play. 2 was the PK, and obviously that's not working. So, Oilers get on the power play, they're probably going to score half the time. That needs to be fixed. And then, of course, the third key, for me at least, to the series was front net presence. And let's be honest, the Kings suck at it. They suck at getting rebounds. 0 front net presence as far as I'm concerned. And that's just got to change. You can't have the perfect shot to score. It's just not going to happen. There's just no room on the ice right now in the playoffs. So, the Kings, they failed to meet all 3 of my keys, and that's pretty much the reason why we're losing. Bad PK, bad power play, no front net. And so, to end this, David Riddick in, fix faceoffs, and hopefully our top players can do better. And yeah, it's not just about the top players either. Secondary scoring is important. The Oilers, they have a strong lineup. In fact, I didn't even realize it before, but the way they've mixed their lines they have a strong top 9. And even their 4th line is getting it done for them as well. So, need to fix that. Need to see more effort from specific players. Fiala, Moore, Dubois, obviously. I mean, hell, these guys should be our leading scorers. Based on salaries, based on past, based on the season. Like, it's sad to see that we can't score. And then, of course, the defense needs to do better. I get it. They're mostly defensive D, but you gotta pinch in. Gavrikos being paid 6.5 fucking mil. And then, of course, Roy as his partner ain't doing crap. You know, they need to do better. And Spence needs to bulk up. You know, he's getting kind of pushed over. He was supposed to be the offensive D besides Doughty. Ain't doing that. And then, of course, I think Anglin's doing a decent job at, you know, for what he is, right? Defensive, hitting, you know, I get it. He's going to take penalties, but it's not that big of a deal because it's England, you know. And like I said, I don't think that hit was a penalized style hit. It was clean through Kane. I think Kane's just a freaking baby. So that's that. That's all I have to say about that. So yeah, going to game 4. Hopefully it's a brand new day. Again, it's only a game. 2-1 Oilers. That's the series. So put this one behind us. Move on. Hopefully the officials change up and heck, review this game, and hopefully they don't have this mistake again. That's just the bottom line. I really hope this doesn't happen again. And as for the Kings, gotta play full 60 minutes. They only play like 5 minutes worth. That's it. So, thank you guys for watching. I know this one went a little bit longer, but I had a lot to say. It was just really, really frustrating to watch this game. So, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Comment down below what you guys thought. Do you guys agree or disagree with me? Let me know. I want to know, especially from like Oilers fans, let me know. Do you guys agree with what I'm saying about the officials? Because it just felt like it was like one-sided for sure. And then Kings fans, let me know. Do you guys hate the officials for this? I won't say I hate them, but I definitely hated the way it went. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I am keeping up with the Kings. Every game, I'm going to have a game review. And hopefully it goes, you know, longer than this. Obviously, now we're probably going to go... If we want to come back, we're probably going to have to go to Game 7, most likely. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, go Kings, go. And I will go, you know, let you guys go. I'm getting tired. Very sad to see. Very sad to see. And I really hope the Kings turn it around. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.